Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stefano Bernardini, and in today's tutorial I will talk about Amazon AWS messaging. Let's go. We will talk about AWS SNS and AWS SQS. AWS SQS, Amazon Simple Queue Services, is a fully managed messaging queue service that enables you to decouple and scale microservices, distributed system, and serverless application. Using SQS, you can send, store, and receive messages between software components at any volume without losing messages or requiring other service to be available. With MuleSoft, we can use the Amazon SQS connector. AWS SNS is Amazon Simple Notification Service that is a fully managed messaging service for both application to application and application to person communication. Using Amazon SNS topic, your publisher system can fan out message to a large number of subscriber systems such as SQS, SMS, email, HTTPS, endpoint, etc. With MuleSoft, you can use the Amazon SNS connector. Okay, now let's see how to use SNS and SQS. If you see my videos, you know that I like to expose the free pattern. So the simple one, the competing consumer patterns, and the broadcasting pattern. So let's begin with the first pattern, the simple one. For this pattern, I only use Amazon SQS. So I have a producer that sends message to the SQS queue, and I have a consumer that pull the message from the SQS queue. So let's move on Anypoint Studio. Okay, so let's create a new project. Okay, for example, mine is AWS. Okay. Let's create a global. I need both the library SNS library, Amazon library. So Amazon, as I before, SQS and SNS. Okay. Mule4. Okay. Now I need to connect. I need a credential for my Amazon. Okay, so I can move to my Amazon account. Okay, I just click on my security credential. Okay, and I go to access keys. Okay, so I need to create a new access key. Okay, show access key. These are my access key and my secret access key. So I just copy and paste this my password in a YAML file. Okay, for example, dev.yaml. Okay. For example, AWS credential and access and secret. Okay, this is my access and this is my secret. No worry, I will delete it at the end of the video. Okay, so now let's create the credential, the properties, configuration properties. I point to that file, so to the dev file. Okay, so this is my configuration. Now I create the Amazon SQS configuration. Okay, I just need the access key and the secret key. So I think this is the syntax. I think AWS credential and access. Okay, AWS credential and secret. Let's check if it's okay. AWS credential access and secret. Let's make a test connection. I need also an example queue. Okay, let's create an example queue. Okay, close. Okay, so I search for SQS. Okay, simple queue service. Okay, I create the first queue, tutorial Q1. Okay, and I don't need any special configuration, and select create queue. Okay, so this is the URL of this queue. This is the ARN of this queue. I think that the test queue ARN I can copy and paste this one. Let's test if everything is okay. Okay, perfect. The test QR is just to test the configuration. Okay. Now the SQS is okay. So let's just create, as I say here, a producer and a consumer. So I need a send message and a receive message. Okay, so I pick SQS, I pick send message and receive message. Okay, send message and receive message. Okay, for example, the send message take info from an HTTP listener. Okay. The path, for example, is SQS connector. Let's configure a simple connector configuration. Okay. And let's put a transfer message in order to answer back to the HTTP listener. The response it's JSON with a message, I don't know, okay, and correlation ID and the correlation ID. Okay. Okay, I just open Postman. I just create a new request. Let's create a new request. HTTP localhost SQS. I want to send, for example, a JSON. Okay. This is my message. First name, last name. Okay. Simpson, first name Bart. Okay, this is my my message. Okay, let's move on Anypoint Studio. I want to send the message coming from my HTTP listener to the Amazon SQS. So I need to send the message in the body fields. So I need to send the payload here on the body fields. So body, okay, body is payload, but I need also to write in the application JSON form. So I need the write function. So payload and application JSON. Okay. Okay, I just put a log. Okay, message. For example, I can say output application JSON where just sent date now. Okay. And then I receive the message here. Okay. I put a log. This time output application JSON. Okay. Where message received, the date now. Okay. And what payload. Okay. Let's see if no, I forgot to configure the queue URL. Let's copy and paste this one. Okay. I have to copy and paste here and there. Okay. I can also use a global variable. It's not a problem. Okay. Let's see if everything is okay. Okay, we are ready. Let's invoke with Postman. Okay, as you can see, this is the correlation message. Okay, okay, there is a problem because I need to read the body as application JSON. Okay, let's make this modification. Maybe I can also use a transfer message just in front of the logger. I just use the read function, so I read the payload in application JSON. Okay, I think it's okay. Okay, let's rerun. Okay, so let's rerun. Just sent. Fine. So what is our message? So if I send another message, for example, bar2, I receive bar2. Okay. Let's see the second pattern. Let's see the second pattern, the competing consumer patterns. In the scenario, the producer send a message to the SQS queue, and I have two consumers that compete to consume the message. Only one consumer received the message. Okay, let's move back to Anypoint Studio. I just need to add another subscriber. Okay, I can also use XML and modify this flow. Flow 2, for example. Okay, make some other modification in order to understand what is the name of the flow. For example, here flow A, and in the second flow, this is flow B. Okay. Okay, we are ready. So as you can see, I just had another consumer, and I use SQS and nothing more. Okay, I just rerun. Okay. Okay, let's invoke with Postman. Okay, let's just okay. Okay, bar2 is received on flow B. I rerun, received on flow A, flow A again, flow A again, flow B. Okay, flow B, flow B. It's not round robin, but both flow compete to receive the message. Only one consumer get the message. Okay. So let's see the last scenario, the broadcasting scenario. In the broadcasting scenario, the producer publish a message, this time not to an SQS queue, but to an SNS topic. Then I have two SQS queue that subscribe to this SNS topic. And then I have both consumer that pull the message from the SQS topic. Okay, let's move back on Anypoint Studio and on the Amazon AWS console. Okay, I stop it. Okay, I move back to SNS. So I search for SNS. Okay. I create a topic. Okay, create a topic. FIFO, I don't need FIFO. I don't need FIFO. So tutorial topic 1. Okay. I don't need special configuration. I just create topic. Okay. Now I have to create two separate queue that subscribe to this topic. So I move back to SQS. I create two new queues. Tutorial Q2. And tutorial Q3. Okay. Now I move back to the SNS configuration and I configure the subscription of this topic. Okay. I create subscription. I can select, as I said before, numerous kind of subscription, even application to person. So I can also choose email. I can also choose SMS. But for this scenario, I want to use Amazon SQS. Okay. So the protocol is Amazon SQS. Now I need to select the right queue, so the tutorial Q2 and then the tutorial Q3. Very important, I need to confirm this subscription. So I just create the subscription. I also create the subscription, another subscription. Okay. So subscription from the topic 1 to Amazon SQS and also to the topic to the Q3. Okay. Create subscription. Okay. Now I need to move to SQS and confirm the subscription because I need to confirm both sides. So this tutorial Q2 need to subscribe. So I need to check the subscribe to Amazon SNS topic. tutorial topic 1. Okay, this is the confirmation, and also for the Q3. Okay, I confirm the subscription. Okay, very important, otherwise it doesn't work. So up to now I just configure the SNS topic. I create two new queue, that is the Q2 and the Q3. Okay, and I configure the subscription from the SNS topic to both the queues. Okay, now I can move back to Anypoint Studio. Okay, I just pick the SNS configuration that is different from SQS. Okay, so access key is the same as I configured before, so it's I can also copy and paste AWS credential access. Okay, I can copy and paste. So access key is this one, and the secret key is this one. Okay, test topic, I can take the SNS topic to test if everything is okay. This is the harn. Okay, test topic. Harn tutorial. Okay, test connection is successfully. Okay, so maybe I can create a new configuration file, SNS, for example. I place a listener, this time SNS. Okay, I can let me see, use the publish. This time is not send message, but in the SNS is publish. So I select SNS and publish. Okay, so I need to configure the topic name. Let's pick from here. This is the topic harn tutorial, and I need to select the message. As we see before, the message is this time it's I don't have the structure we see before in the SQS, but I need to write the message in this form, application JSON. Okay, let's put a log, for example, output application JSON, and where SNS published. Okay, core, for example, correlation. I need a comma here. Okay, correlation, and when, for example, now. Okay, then I have to use the receive message, this time on the SQS side, so I don't need to use nothing to receive on the SNS side, because I receive on SQS side. So I just configure the receive message. Okay, the QURL is the QURL 2 and 3. So let's pick the SQS URL Q2 and 3. Let's start with the Q2. Okay, This is the URL. Okay, I insert a log. Okay, I don't know, output application JSON. Okay, where message received, flow flow 2. Okay, and the body is payload. Okay, I need first to transform the message with the read function, so I just use the read function, payload application JSON. Okay, let's see if everything it's okay. Let's run. Okay, let's configure a new request. So this one is the SQS. I create a new one for the SNS. HTTP localhost SNS. I can use the same payload, Bart Simpson. Okay, I already invoke. Let's redo. Let's delete the log. Let's redo the invocation of the SNS. Okay, as you can see, this is the log SNS published, and the flow received the message. The body is not the type I want, because I want this one. So I need to print this one. So I need another transform message that read application JSON inside message. Okay, because there is another information in this structure, so I need the message. Okay, I just place another read. I can also do in a single transformation. So read, the name is message, so payload message. Okay, payload message application JSON. Okay, and this time I think everything is okay, so I can also configure the queue number 3. So I duplicate this flow, the entire flow. I call flow 2. Maybe it's better to call it 2 and 3 and 3. Okay, this one is flow 2 and this one is flow 3. Okay, I think everything is okay. So now I rerun, and every time I send a new message, both the subscriber must receive the same message. Okay, so we are ready. Let's delete. Let's clear the console. Let's invoke. Okay. There is a problem. Okay, I forgot to differentiate this flow, because they receive from the flow tutorial 2, and here it's again tutorial 2. So this at the moment is again a competing consumer pattern scenario. So I just need to copy and paste this Q tutorial 3 from the Q tutorial Q3. Okay. Okay, let's rerun. As you can see, the double transformation, it's okay, because now I have exactly my my message. Okay, let's rerun. Okay, let's create a console. Maybe this is the flow 3 that already received an old messages. Okay, let's rerun bar 2. Okay, again. As you can see, I both receive, every consumer received his own message. So bar 2 for flow 3, flow 2. And maybe I insert a flow 3, flow 2, flow 3. Okay, publish it, bar 3, flow 2, flow 3. Okay. So everything it's okay. Let's rerun again. Okay, bar 2, bar 3. Before the end of this tutorial, I just want to show you how to delete some subscription. For example, I can go to the SNS notification service, and I can also delete a subscription. So for example, I don't want Q3 no more. Okay, I just delete. So in the real time, I just send a new message, and only the flow 2 receive the message. Okay, so I delete the flow 3. Okay, if I also delete this one, nobody received the message. Okay, I only publish message that goes to the SQS that goes nowhere. Okay, perfect. That's all for now. Please, if you like my video, smash that subscribe button, and see you in the next video. Bye.